guys look the role. So please remember, when you start, when you become a teacher, the children, the scholars are going to look at you. The community is going to look at you. The teachers are going to look at you. So what I'm going to say, you can win those students over by being the best person that you can be the best teacher you can be. It's not hard, it's simple. First of all, when I started teaching, I thought the subject was probably one of the most boringest subjects. I mean, as a teacher, because I went in there, I look at the lesson plan, I taught from the lesson plan, but my students weren't getting it. It's like, okay, we had fun. No. I said, wait a minute, this is not exciting. I said, I need to be more creative. One, I started the students off running. They said, for example, like the video says, oh, coach, all we do is run. They had no purpose. So we created the marathon kids. I used a log sheet from that era, and I used, so every time they would come to physical education, they'll run 1/4 of a mile every time. So at the end of the year, they have completed 26.5 miles, and they loved it. It was a challenge for them. So therefore, I created a data system. I had a chart for every grade level. And every time they come to physical education, we always review from the previous class. We color in the pie, we cover the chart. So therefore, they 3/4, they're okay, they covered a mile all the way till May. By the end of May, like I said, they have covered 26.5 miles. And they were excited about it. One other thing I like is vocabulary. You teach vocabulary so the students will become ambassadors. What happens is that when they go home, they will talk to their parents. For example, they say, Mama, you know, that person's obese. And the parent said, where did you learn that from? Physical education. Well, Mama, I have to take care of my heart. Like, your heart? So yes, because Mom, smoking is bad and eating bad stuff is not healthy for the body and things like that. Those are things that, you know, we discuss in the classroom. So therefore, what I'm saying is that learning takes place from the time the students comes to your class outside before they enter into your room. They know that physical education, being physically fit, should be the most important thing in their lives. Because, why am I saying that? It's because there's so much going on in the community. You want to make a difference. As, for example, I can go around physical education. I'm in charge of morning duties. I have to escort the students from the parking lot, from the cars, etc. Therefore, hey, I have a parent that's smoking in the car, smoking weed, black and mall, whatever. The student has to come out. And then the students is very much disrupted that day because of the brain cells. You know, you smoking that stuff, it affects your brains as well for adults as children. So therefore, you're not learning much when you come to school. So therefore, I had to come up with a strategy for that. And we talked about let me get my point straight. I had 2 charts, pre-K, secondary, okay? Pre-K, we did the basic vocabulary with the students. You know, you talk about the heart, the lungs, the elbows, the knees. The upper grades, I went with the stronger vocabulary, cardiovascular system, the circulatory system, the muscular skeletal system, etc. I talked about that, and I created, wait, I want to make sure you guys are solid. I'm going ahead of myself. Let me make sure. Okay, stop. Basically, cover yourself. When the administrators walk into your classroom, you want to make sure that you're on point. Make sure that your students are learning. So therefore, you can walk around the classroom as a teacher and show the administrators on what your students are doing, okay? I did mention the marathon kids. I did mention, for example, the health part of it. And moving along, you work on the projects. You put them in groups, work on projects, and when you work with the projects, you display their activities. When you display their activities, the administrators walk in and etc. They see what the students are doing. They know they're not just in here in the classroom playing around. It's very important that you cover yourself. One other thing, the most important thing I always do when the schools first starts, I organize my classroom by numbers. Okay? For example, I have 1 to 25 numbers. Okay? Each student in the classroom has a number. Each student in the whole entire school has a number. Like if I call All the number fives, I said, come to my classroom. They know who they are. All the number ones, come to my classroom. They know who they are, and they know where they're going to sit. Okay? So therefore, when they come to your classroom, you're on point. You're on point. Don't waste any time, because if you waste time, the children knows, the scholars knows if you're prepared. If you're not prepared, you're going to lose their attention. So you have to cover yourself. They walk in, they position themselves, you get going. Okay, one other thing I use besides that, I like music. Music is fun. I did my aerobics, my stretching with music. Music was the passion for me. It motivated the kids, because why? I have students that have been in my class 20-something years ago say, hey coach, remember we played Michael Jackson, remember we played Beat It, remember we did this, we did that. You remember how we went outside, we were running. You remember how we played the basketball game, how we played the soccer game. I use music to make them feel good about themselves. Once you have that energetic feel, you want to do anything, you know, as far as for the teacher, because you enjoy going to that class. Okay, so like I said, cover yourself, cut down on discipline problems, you know, by having numbers, having your charts, make sure the students are ready to learn, okay? And, Cook, am I missing a point?
Well, I had some areas I wanted you to hit that I watched you do throughout the years. When you speak about the athletic program you started at your school, because part of the subject that part of the physical education chapter we're covering is and part of this whole course is about sports programs. And you know, there are very little that are free at the elementary school level.
Right.
So I know you did like a basketball league.
Right.
And so talk about the different programs you started from scratch with no money.
That's right. I remember when I was little, I was in the Virgin Islands, because that's where I'm from, because my English wasn't the best at the time as a teacher, because my accent was totally different. I had a vision when I was little of starting a basketball league or being a coach. So therefore, when I became a teacher, like I said, I wasn't feeling the energy as a physical education teacher. I'm a physical education teacher, but I needed to have the spunk. So I said, wait a minute. I said, let me start a basketball league here. So I went out there. I got 4 schools. I got 8 schools. I started out with 8 schools. And I think my first event was maybe at Yates High School. I went over there, talked to the principal. We exchanged words as far as what the basketball leagues would do for the community. Okay, and how we'll be a fundraiser and things like that. Let us come play here free, and we help you raise money for your seniors. And what happened, like I said, I started out with 8 schools. Then it went to 10 schools. Then it went to 12 schools. Then it went to 16 schools. Then it went up to 20 and also 22 schools. Therefore, I had people waiting on a waiting list to join the basketball league. I did this for 30 years, and believe me, it was a success. It was a blast. I had cheerleaders, boosters that came, that was part of it. They enjoyed it. I wish I had some of you guys as students, but you guys are so young. You know, most of those kids that I taught, they're like in their 30s and 40s now. But like I said, it was a success. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys can do something like that too. It's not hard. It's much simpler now with the technology that we have here. You guys can go in there and implement something like that. And I also started a soccer program at Hartsfield Elementary School, because I saw the community were becoming more Hispanic, so I had to do something to reach the community, to reach those scholars. I'm more of a community person. Whatever is going on in the community, I want to help. I want to make a difference, okay? Because I want these students to be successful, to grow up and do something good with their lives, okay? That was my thing. And after the soccer program, I started this. I did a track program. I started that, and I got other schools involved. We went to Barnett Stadium, and we participated, and everybody participated. Everybody had a good time. I started, one of the first activity I started was a bicycle rodeo with HPD, and what they did was came out, they sponsored the activity, they bought bicycles out there to teach the children about bicycle safeties and so on. That's a couple of other things I started there, and I did a food drive, like you would see one of those boxes out there where you can drop canned goods in and things like that. I had something like that. I started at Hartsfield as well, and track, okay, soccer,
What about the
basketball.
volleyball?
Volleyball, that was one of the last things I started. I did that program too, you know, to help our young ladies, you know, to become more active and, you know, just because they're moving on to the middle school, it's just something for the children to do, to grow, to, basically, the purpose of me putting all these things together is for us to cut down on crime so the kids can grow up knowing each other, feeling comfortable from the north side, south side, east side, etc. Everybody coming together and getting along and functioning correctly, like, you know, just bettering themselves. Okay, right now my mindset is not quite ticking like the way I want to because I'm so excited, but I just want to let you guys know, please cover yourself. Be very creative when you're teaching your class. Dress nice, dress the role, be the role. Don't drink sodas in front of kids. If you're doing something that like big people do, smoke and things like that, not around the students, because they'll come back and they'll tell it. So just try to be that role model for that child, and I promise you.
So Coach, speak on, we were talking, when we talked about this quite a bit, is what drive teachers like yourself to be motivated to do this kind of work. Showing up at 6 in the morning, you know, hour and a half before you do at work, and leaving almost an hour after work. What drives you to give that kind of commitment to your children?
Excellent. It's a passion. Let me explain this to you guys. I've never missed a day of work. Every day I was excited about going to work. It was never a job. It was just a passion of just going to work. I enjoyed it. I promise you, when you start to teach, you're gonna feel so good, it's gonna become part of you. So therefore, you know you're the leader, you're the front force of the school. You are the main person, believe me. Those children, the community believes in you. So therefore, what I did, I got up like at 5:30. I went to the gym at 5. No, I was at the gym at 5:30 to 6. So I left the gym maybe like at 6:15 on the way to work. When I get to work, I'm prepared, I look around, make sure my classroom is right, etc. Set up the cones, etc. Like I said, move the kids into the building. And it was just something I knew I had to do. I knew I had many voices around the school campus. That's where I fit at. And I made it possible. I wanted our students to come to school feeling good, feeling safe. And I know as a physical educator, I'm the more fitness type of person. I like to move around and I like to greet parents. I want to make sure the students are on task. So that's things like that are very, very important. But I was very excited on every day. I never called my field, my craft, a job. No, it was part of me. I really enjoyed it. So whatever the principal asked, I was there. Even the principal didn't even have to ask me. I was there. I would go in the cafeteria, for example, and I see the students. I'm not a favorite person. No, I don't act like that. I just walk in there. I see the kids eating their carrots, the broccoli. Oh, coach, I mean my carrots. It has vitamin A. Ooh, look at me. I got muscles. Ooh, look. You know, things like that. Why? Because they're become ambassadors from teaching them and explaining to them. Like when you read labels on the chart, for example, you know, you talk about calories, protein, carbohydrates, sugar, things like that. They read those labels now, and they're talking to their parents about these things. And once the parents know that their child is learning, it shows that they're learning. Okay, because they'll say, Mom, Dad, this is not good for me because it has corn syrup. It has high fructose. Okay, so they know that sugar there is not the best sugar. Okay, for example, that's just an example scenario right there. All right, so once you get that attention and once you get that for the children to become ambassadors for you, they will therefore try to make a difference in their lives, in their parents' lives as well. And it has really worked. I remember I had a parent that was upset at me because his daughter told him to roll the window down because he was smoking.
So Coach, let me kind of share so they don't miss that ambassador concept that you came up with. As physical educators, like yourself, you know, whether you training, sports training, exercise science, or sports programs, you have a voice, and you will have to be an example of your profession. So what he referred to ambassadors. He's saying, I'm teaching my students so they can go out and share this message for us to be a healthier and more physically fit community. So you got elementary school students now. This whole time he's been talking about pre-K through 5, not 6, 7, 8 in high school. That's going out taking his message forward as an ambassador, holding their parents accountable, holding their teachers accountable, holding each other accountable, saying, you need to pursue a healthy lifestyle. So I didn't want you to miss that ambassador part and just think he's just throwing out a name. He wanted to make sure what he was teaching them was going out into their household and into the community as well.
Yes, because I have a niece, a nephew. They come home, they're in school, elementary school. So like, what'd you learn today? Nothing. What you did in P today? Play. That's it. They play. No. We as teachers, as educators, as physical educators, we're better than that. We're the best thing around the campus. I promise you. Look at yourself now. Look at yourself in 30 years. You're the educator. I promise you. You have the best. You have the best education on this campus. Being a physical educator, and like I said, being an ambassador is very important for our scholars, okay? Because let me tell you, look at all these teenagers and what they're doing, okay? A lot of them are doing these things, smoking, drinking, partying, clubbing, and things like that. We know they're turning their temple down. You only have one heart. You have 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes. You can use one. You can lose one and use the other one, but you only have one heart. They know about the heart.